All right, hope everybody's doing good. We are here today with a musician here in Kansas City, Go Ray. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man.
All right.
I think the first time I heard you was actually at George Robinson's jam, like 8 years ago at the Phoenix. That was one of the first jams I came to in town.
I remember that very well. Yes.
And I know every time, like most of the time when I hear you play, it cracks me up because you're sitting there like, well, what do I do? Do I give them the or do I give them the you know? It's like it's just crazy because you have so much technique while you play that you're just like, what am I gonna do this time? You know, you just got everything under control, man. I've always been really impressed by every time I hear you play in any kind of band.
Man, thank you. Thank you. You know, I just pick and choose the moments. I mean, you know, first of all, what are we playing music wise? And that determines it. You know, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's good to go, but then sometimes it's just good to go whack, and there's the feel, and the biggest statement has been made.
That's good, man.
Yeah, man.
And that's like, I know when people when I go out to like open jams and stuff, and these non-musicians come up to us, how do you guys make everything up on the spot? And you just mentioned something. I mean, it's not really making anything up. The rest of the band are kind of helping you decide what to do right now, right?
Exactly. I mean, a simple dance tune. Yeah, you're not gonna go nuts behind the kit. It's the groove, the pocket.
Yeah.
Get the people in the seats on the dance floor, and once you got them, keep it there.
Yeah.
And that is the best time to turn down a drum solo. It's like, yeah, you guys. So yeah, I'll sit this one now. I'll just stay here and play the groove. It'll be great.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot with especially at open jams is a perfect example of this, but in any band when you do your job, everybody else looks better, you know, and when they're doing their job, you look better. And it's tough, like especially in an open jam setting when not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to do the me kind of thing, you know, and you don't realize they just don't understand that when the drummer doesn't do his job, everybody looks really bad. And when the singer's really bad, everybody looks really bad. You know, when you don't do your job, like it screws everybody else up, right?
Exactly. You know, the drummer to me is the bus driver. So let's say whoever's in charge, the lead singer, the lead guitar player, they're like the host. They're telling you the story, your surroundings, but yet I gotta avoid potholes or something, or there's a detour sign. Okay, don't go through there, go this way. So as long as I'm doing my job, just keep things going, things are great. And you know, yeah, the drums, it's a foundation. You know, and that gives all the other people a chance to build something, and they can tear it down, but I must stay strong as a foundation. I can't allow for any cracks, you know, anything. I just got to be strong so they can build, tear down, rebuild, tear down until we get to the end.
Yeah.
And that just makes sense to me.
I think of a lot of times I'm thinking of like I'm as a violin player, the solo person in a band with like the bass and drum, like just the rhythm section. I feel like I'm on like a flying carpet sort of.
There you go.
And when my flying carpet falls out from under me, it's like, oh crap, you know. And so like that's it. And the other analogy I always talk about is like the linemen in football. You know, when they suck, everything sucks. You know, but they don't ever get any credit. They don't get, you know, but it's the
unsung
job, right?
heroes.
Yeah, sure.
The linemen create the gap for the star running back to run through. Without that gap, there's nothing. And I like how you said that you're on a flying carpet, but then when it's pulled from you, yeah, it's not fun. You know, I have to avoid that from the beginning. I got to make sure if something else falls, I'm still there. You have support.
Yeah.
Whether you're playing a rhythmic part, if you're soloing, you have something like, okay, I can do whatever. This is stable. And that's where I'm at with this thing called drumming.
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah,
the foundation.
That's great. So like with your how the heck did you get started playing drums or whatever?
It started a long time ago for those who remember these shows, before there was a thing called MTV, there were live shows weekly. ABC in concert, Don Kirshner's rock concert, the Midnight Special. Bands, no matter rock, country, funk, the pop thing. If you had the hit song, you were on that show. It was a treat for me to stay up with my brother and sister to watch those shows because they came on late at night. So as a kid, you see this going on, and you're like, wow, that looks kind of cool. So, didn't have a drum set right away. So what works better than that at the moment? Bean bags, coffee cans, mom's best pots and pans because they had the better sound. Yeah, and you find a couple of sticks or something and you make what you think is a drum kit.
Wow.
I didn't have a bass drum pedal, so I'm kicking the bean bags. I had the low end, and you just playing along with whatever you hear on the radio, what you see on TV. And mom and dad go, okay, well, let them keep these pots and pans. We'll get some new ones. They get new ones. Well, that's my new kit now.
Wow.
Better sound. So I'm hearing sounds, and they're like, what is it with this kid? He just wants to hit stuff. Finally, at the age of 9 years old, I get into elementary school band. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, so you could get in band in 4th grade. At least you could in the year of 1977.
Yeah.
Last guy to get in on the drums. That's what does a band need? Another drummer. And they were trying to say like, hey man, saxophone. That'll be fun. It's like, no man, drums. Come on, drums. But I got in on drums, took lessons, did my homework, and a major point for me was starting in September 77, playing with the advanced band, which just says you're playing with the older kids, 5th and 6th grade, at the Christmas show in December 77. And once I got to that point, I never looked back. I was always with them. But that came with a lot of hard work. I mean, think about it. That's about, 3 months? I was new. 3 to 4 months? I was new. So I worked hard just to be a part of that because I thought it sounded cool. Like, the advanced band, that's where I want to be. Yeah, the advanced band. Kids who've been there longer, they get to play the shows. I want to be a part of that. And once that happened, there it is. The bug is set. Band all through school, summer programs, practice. That's all I wanted to do. Playing the band, and man, I just ran away with it. Yes, I missed a lot of cool parties, other cool events, but man, I played a lot of drums, a lot of people. Yeah. And that was fun.
Wow, man. Yeah. Pots and pans first, huh?
Pots and pans, man. I can still see it to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. Clankety clank.
You said something really interesting. So like switch over to maybe like students in general. I know you've got your own studio. You're talking about the advanced band and I can just hear it from you that was like a major motivator for you. Maybe not before you got into it, but after you got in it, like you were just like, man, I'm with the big kids or whatever.
The big kids.
And so I've been thinking about this, that with like motivating for me as a teacher, I've been trying to think of all the ways that kids might get motivated or people might get motivated. And I came up with kind of a list. So one is like this external thing that you just talked about with I'm with the bigger kids, and it's not just about you, it's kind of about the whole group and the other kids there. There's like concerts, putting this external thing to look forward to. I've thought about like obviously like parental support, like the parents saying good job, putting good songs in front of them that aren't completely lame, being kind of a mildly fun teacher and being in a good mood and not just screaming at them all the time, playing games with little kids, all these kind of things are all like motivators, and so I've been trying to think of like how I can be more motivating to them, and but it drives me nuts because I'll list out all these things and I'll kind of think about them. I'm like, okay, well, I have concerts. I'm trying to give them good songs. You know, go through the list, and there's still some kids sitting there that, you know, that just, they're just not into it. And it's not even that the parents made them. It's like they're sort of pretending and saying that they sort of want to be there too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leads me to this conclusion that I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I don't like the idea of putting it on, well, it's just not for them. I always want to bring it back to something else that I could do. And then that leads me to at night be sitting there, you know, worried about, you know, losing sleep over it. But that leads me again to the conclusion. What do you think of this phrase? Are there some kids that you're just not going to reach and you need to move on? Or what do you think about that?
You can try and try and try, but there will be some kids that you won't reach. Mm-hmm. And from this side of it, yes, that's difficult because you want every kid to like, hey, take this, run with it. Mm-hmm. Not true. Not true. You know, you don't have to give up, but at some point you have to realize, okay, these kids are serious. I think this kid's just trying to find his or her way. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes there's a force with the parents, mm-hmm. and that can be difficult. Yeah. You know, your parents force you to do this. Well, you're going to rebel. Yeah. Okay, I'll go, but I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not going to do anything. Right. And you're telling them for a month straight, hey, page 1 is not happening. More practice. And the parents say, okay, and come back. Same thing. Yeah, you tried. You tried your best. Right. And as long as you know that, you can move forward.
And so you got to just let it go as the teacher.
You got to let it go.
You got to let it go. Say, I can't.
You got to let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah. I bet you get this a lot too, where I don't get very many kids that literally hate violin. They all like it. You know, they all like music and they don't hate playing, but it's just the work outside of it. I mean, right? I mean, do you get that a lot?
Right.
They like the drums, but they just aren't going to do anything.
Putting in the time. You know, some kids, you have to pull them away from the drum kit because they're practicing a lot. Pull them away from the snare drum. Right. Other kids, you try to push them to it and maybe 15 minutes and they're done. Mm-hmm. And I try to get all the students to practice at least 1 hour a day. Yeah. I mean, with today's technology, whatever your favorite TV show is, put it on the DVR and just practice, you know, get into a routine. And I like to think that helps with structure, organization.
Yeah. So, like, and that's the other one, too. Like, for example, I don't know if you guys have this for drums, but, like vibrato, for example, for us, I know as a teacher, if you want to get really good at this, there's these X things that you're going to have to do. And the vibrato exercises are about the worst ones. It's right. They're just obnoxious and terrible. So I know that if that was the goal, you would have to do this. Well, sometimes I'm sitting there with the kid and I'm starting to get a little bit better at doing that judging moment. Is this the kid that's going to go do it? Or am I just, you know, I hate that word, wasting my time with going through and expecting him to do this. Or do I need to just let that go and go back to the song or something? You know, make that decision there, and that's the like art of like reading people and crap. And I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to get any better at that or what, you know, or how to even practice that or something, you know. But
right,
I don't know if you deal with that.
The more students you have, you get a little better at reading them. And what's funny is. Sometimes there's that student that'll get it at the very last minute when you're probably ready to give up. It makes sense. There's another student, you can just tell, wow, this is not working. And then, of course, there's that one student that you show them one time and that's all they think about, and it's been practiced so much they got it down. There are things for drummers, a lot of rudiments. I would call that the drummer scale. Mm-hmm. You have to learn that. It's good for the hands. It's good discipline. And I try to find a way to make it cool. So learn this pattern. Okay, you got it down. Now apply it to the drum kit and you can do this. Hey, didn't you tell me that this is a song you would like to play? Can you hear that? Mm-hmm. That's probably what that drummer's doing. So if you learn this, you can do that. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right,
But when
yeah.
it works, man, it's amazing. They just, because they think that's impossible. But they get a little glimpse. First time may not be so good. Give it a couple of weeks or so, they're on it. So I try to think of things where, okay, learn this thing that we don't want to practice, get this down so you can do these things. Here's the songs that are right at your fingertips if you get this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now think about it. The more of this I give you, think about how your song list is going to grow.
So yeah, and so like I was thinking for myself, because this is maybe where I'm getting it's disjointed or whatever between my students and myself, is that with all these different motivators, I know what motivates me is the sound of the music. Like that's the thing that really like when music's played badly, I lose my mind. You know, it's like, and I don't know if you're the same.
No,
that's my motivator. Like, and that's probably why I might have decent pitch or whatever, is because it's supposed to be a C sharp, not a kind of an exactly C sharp, you know. And so when it's not exact, I lose my mind. I get really pissed off, you know. And so, and especially, and I can handle that with kids, you know. But like when jammers come out and adults, something happens to me and I lose all patience whatsoever. But like, so that's my motivator, is why it's not because it says C sharp, is because that's what the song is. Because like, so a drummer example would be like when you hear like a 90s rock tune that's like laid back and somebody like pushes it up about that much faster. I'm like, you you know, like, you know, that pisses me off. You guys just ruined that song. You know, like Shaky Ground is a perfect example when somebody like pushes that barely up, you know, and they don't
so
lay
many versions of that.
like that Temptations version is like extremely laid back, and like that's the kind of example of when I get that's my motivator, and so that is what I, of course, want all my students to have, is that because that motivator is the one that's going to get them. You know, that's the one where they're going to be pissed off when they miss this little thing, and they're going to sit there for an extra minute.
Right.
So that's what I want. I want them to.
I get that.
You know, like
playing a song the way it should be played is beautiful. Now, also, you know, you have some artists that'll have their own interpretation of a tune, and I'm cool with that. I mean, some songs that are just mid tempo, I've heard them slow or really fast, but if it's done well, I'm cool with that. But when you're not nailing the parts, you know, whether you're a student or the adult jammer, your night just got longer. Your time in the lesson room just got longer, man, and that's a tough one. And that's when you apply the smile in the lesson room, like, that's not it, but we're gonna work on this, we're gonna get it. At a jam, you're just like, man, can we just get to the end and cut this song? Let's take it to the end. Out. All right. Thank you. Next. Oh, and man, I've been to some jams where I just wouldn't play. I just listened, and I couldn't stay long enough to listen. I'll tell you a funny story, man. A jam that I got to witness and be a part of in Norway, Trondheim, Norway. There was this host, and he had a wireless mic. He'd get the musicians together, tell them to play. When it's good, he's cool. But when it's bad, you just hear him talk, and done. All right, we're going to get these people up next. And I'm like,
them.
wow, did this really happen? It's like, okay, I better go on the stage. I better play like I know what I'm doing so I don't get the chop. Because they don't mess around. No song that's going bad will last in that environment. He's right there listening and chopping. When he stops it, that's it. You don't play an extra note. What a jam concept.
Yeah, and I've heard guys talk about like you getting you know, maybe not in the middle of the song, but after the song's done, they're like, hey, thanks, man. We're gonna get some more people. I mean, they chop you after a song, and it's the same concept where they're in charge here. You know, you're gonna meet this bass line a little. You know,
I saw a whole band get chopped. Like, wow. And to be fair, did they start together? No.
Yeah.
They were probably not going to end together. Yeah, and the map in the middle was just like, well, that person's in that section. He's thinking solo. he's not sure oh, there's the chop. Wow, this guy's good.
Wow.
He heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right there, that's one of those lessons like, okay, know the song, be ready, pay attention.
Right.
So the less notes for the drummer to play, the better, right?
And like another one that I've been thinking about a lot is like we were discussing a little bit before the show started about certain teachers that kind of want to use ultimate fun kind of being the motivator, and then if you looked at it as a silly spectrum of, you have the like drill sergeant Nazi, right, and then you've got the ultimate, oh, good job, that kind of stuff. And like I understand, like, so I've been always thinking about like improv with my students, where especially as classical people, if I get that wall down, they're done in a good way. Like, I got them, if they can just get that fear wall gone. Well, I think the same thing. So I would imagine that the heavy motivator teachers would say, if I can just get them to have fun, then that wall is down and I got them. I would assume that they would look at it in that way. But my problem is that when I talk to those people, it's funny that for the last 45 minutes, they haven't said anything about their students actually getting good or not. You know what I mean? All they're talking about is that they're having fun.
Right.
And so to me, the fun as a motivator doesn't address the discipline problem. What do you think about that?
When I started taking lessons, I had the hardcore teachers. It's either right or it's not. If it's right, you will play with the band. If it's not right, I can't use you. So now, you probably can't really get away with that in today's times, but there are other ways around this, and this is fun. This is what I do with my students. Here's an assignment, okay? You understand it? Good. I'm going to write the date on this. This is the date that was given to you. Okay, you need to have this next week, because next week I want to write something else and put another date on it. If we're not getting it, you're facing that date. You're looking at it all the time, and it's like, oh man, I gave that to you a month ago, and we're nowhere near it. Got to work on that. We can't go this long not getting stuff. Do my students like that? I don't think so. And if I asked them, maybe a few would be bold and tell me, but it's the truth. It reinforces, hey, you were given this on this day, learn it. And with me, I like to give them things that they can achieve in a week. I tell them, here it is, you'll have it next week. But saying that means they're practicing at least an hour a day. And you can tell when a student comes into a room by the way they walk. They sit behind. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell. My students that get it, they come in there. Yeah, my students that get it, they come in there. All right, here we go. Yeah. The ones that don't get it, there's always a little conversation that they want to have. It's like, oh, okay.
Stalling.
Yeah, and at some point I tell them about that. Once I keep them for a while, I tell them about that. So when you just want to talk about why you can't do this, that tells me that you really can't do it. And then I give them the real world situation. So would you do that on a gig? Oh, you come to a lesson, you forget your drumsticks? That's like going to the gig. You got your kit already set up, no sticks. How's that going to work out? Yeah. So I give them a little bit of the real world. Right. But getting back to the lessons, I put dates on there. Also, we have a lot of technology today. So I'll set the phone up and record them when they play. And it was like, yeah, I nailed it. I got it. Okay. Now I'm going to play this back. You're going to watch it. And then they just look and go, oh, wow, okay. I had that section, but I was nowhere near that section. Say, man, if you film yourself doing practice, I bet you'll clean up a lot of things. It works for me. Yeah. If I see a performance of myself that's just horrible, and I can find a mistake on everything I've ever done, I'm like, go, what are you thinking? Never do that again. Do more of that. Don't you think about doing that again. And I give that to the students. That's how we get that motivation, and that's the fun, getting it down, getting your stuff down. That's the fun, not making excuses. And then, of course, if they're playing something, then they stop. It's like, wait a minute. You forgot when you come into the room, it's showtime. You're on stage. If you make a mistake, you better keep going. The band's going to just leave you, man. Keep going. So that's how I get to them and make them enjoy. Like, man, if you get this, this is fun. When you play from beginning to end, this is fun. This is how you nail it.
Yeah.
And then keep that fire burning.
So you said for sure, and I tried to do this, and I need to do it even more. I tried to be pretty clear with them what I want, and you're talking about expectations with the date thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you were talking about making obviously achievable, like you said, something that they could do in a week. That's obviously a really good idea. The one that, back to the motivating stuff, because I'm always sitting here going like, why the hell are we here? Why are we sitting in this room right now? If they're not doing this, what is the whole point of this? And the only thing I can come back to is, somebody like myself starting at 3 years old, I'm not even good enough to play in Casey Symphony. You know what I mean? That's the NFL.
Right, yeah.
And so what the hell are we doing here? Why are we doing these lessons? And the only thing I can think of is all the non-musical things. And you just mentioned excuse making, so all these adult life lesson stuff is the only thing that I can come up with of why we're sitting here, of having the role model, the learning, the time management kind of stuff, the making excuses, the self-discipline, that, and so that it's really funny though, because what I actually almost want this to be a therapy session, pseudo-therapy, because every time I see a musical thing, I can always link it back to something like psychological or something life skills wise every single time. And so the issue to me is not, like, for myself, I mean, you're going to be the same way. You listen to something and you're going to hear 6 things like in the first 10 seconds, and you can keep them all track in your head. So you're like, okay, do I hit him on this? Do I hit what should, and you're just and you're sitting there thinking, but like so I'm wondering, like, why, if that's what we're doing here, if it's not really for them to end up playing in Aerosmith or something,
Right.
If that's not the goal, then all of these other psychological things are the goal. But whenever I try to bring that up, that's the crap they don't want to hear, because they're like, this isn't therapy right now. This is, why don't we just have life coach, why don't we just have life coach hour, so like that's the. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about it,
No. That's cool.
What do you think about that? Like, I mean, is that...
Well, here's the thing. When I got into teaching, just to sound different, I took an ad in the pitch. I didn't want to say, hey, I'm a drum teacher. Hey, I'm a drum instructor. I picked the word counselor.
Yeah.
And drum counselor. Not knowing what I was setting myself up for. Because there's been those days, you get a female student come in, throw the books down. Go. Yeah. Why do boys suck? Like, this is about drum. Oh man, you are at that age. Why are you? Okay, I gotta give you the right advice so we don't have to go through this again.
Yeah.
And I kind of set myself up for that. So at some point, you gotta ask that student, hey man, why are you here? And sometimes I'll ask that on day one. Why are you here? Why do you want to take drum lessons? And you just have to address things where within that lesson you give them, okay, you got to practice. You got to find time to practice. Practice it right, really pay attention to what you're doing. That reinforces probably stuff they hear in school, for drummers, sit up straight, no slouching. Did you really mean that? Okay, is that correct? That kind of thing.
Right.
Are you sure about it? Can you do this at any given moment? And for some reason, a majority of my students, I'd say at least 95%, they understand that I'm coming from a different place. Yes, music lessons, that's what it is, but there's also life lessons in there.
Yeah.
So you gotta ask your student, okay, why are we here? Why are you here? I know why I'm here. Why are you here?
That's the thing that I've been trying to do, because I unfortunately like to talk so much that I always tell them. You know, I'm like, okay, this was good, that was bad, and you're making a great point about no, I'm not gonna tell you. You're gonna watch, and then so I've been trying to do that more. I'm like, you know, so how'd you do? You know, and it's not even you know, of course I feel a certain way about however they just played, you know, but I mean, I'm trying to get them to be very, very descriptive and, you know, it was good. Yeah, I mean, well, that's not helpful, you know,
Exactly.
you know, and trying to make them describe, like you just said, okay, the chorus of the song, I was late, but the rest of it was, you know, I'm like, okay, good, let's go right to the chorus, etc.
Let's get that worked out.
Right, and exactly, not kind of,
Yeah,
exactly
get
what,
it.
you know, and so, like, I've been trying to do that with have them tell me how they did. And, like, so, do you think that plays into that self-motivation? Because see, that's my problem, is that I know that's the end goal. The end goal is the self-motivation.
Yes.
But my problem is when I get the second grader, that's not happening. You know, they're not going to have self-motivation. You've got to kind of help, but you've got to be their motivation that age. But, like... But then I can't adjust. You know, I need to do better at like adjusting to that, and you know what I mean. Like
I hear you, man. I have a young kid. He's I believe he's starting third grade now, and he takes an hour with me.
Wow.
Yeah, and he KJ Mace. Oh, he's a go-getter. Yeah, he means business.
Could be a monster.
Yeah,
huh?
and he gets to sit in with local bands in Kansas City.
Wow.
He's allowed to play a drum solo. Then he'll play a song. And with him, I was trying the whole discipline thing, and then I just tapped into what he was all about. Then we sneak in the discipline lessons.
Right.
And just recently, he played a very well constructed drum solo. I gave him some ideas. It's like, okay, you can start this way, you end this way. Okay, this section, enough about me. What can you add to these two sections right here? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Put a camera on. Okay, play it. Watch it. Play it again. Watch that.
Right.
Yeah, he killed it. And the biggest takeaway from the lesson, he went behind the drum kit, and as the band was announcing him, he didn't noodle. He didn't make any noise.
Yeah.
He just sat there. He
Yeah.
looked at the drums. He did this to make sure things are in place. He wasn't tapping during the whole thing. That was his thing before that. But
Right.
I've got a little bit of discipline in him, just a little bit more. And it's amazing. And
See, that's non-musical, right? That
Yeah,
has
there you
nothing
go.
to do with music right there.
Yeah.
That's just straight up discipline.
Discipline.
You know, of him just...
Yeah,
You know,
he's waiting,
yeah.
and he in his mind he knows. Okay, when they say my name, once they're done saying my name, begin. They said his name, small pause, monster.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's
wow,
awesome.
And I just told him about that the day of his performance.
Right, yeah.
That was part of the lesson.
Right. Yeah,
And-
you talked about that. Yeah.
He
yeah,
took
yeah,
it and
yeah.
ran with it, and then you know, I heard from his mom. She loved it, and I can't wait to review his performance with him.
Oh,
'Cause
sure.
This time, I think he'll be telling me, okay, that was good, go, but now that part I can do better.
Right.
He's like, how old are you again?
Yeah, I know. That
Man,
he's
people
acting,
3 times your age, I can't
Yeah.
get them to do this.
he's acting like an adult.
Right.
He's acting
He's
mature
getting
right
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is getting
That's
it.
awesome, man.
So, yeah, man, ask your student, you know, why are we here? And they should be able to answer that no matter what age, you know? And kids are honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
And you tell them that I want your honest
Yeah,
answer.
I wanna
I don't
have
want bullshit.
fun.
You
Yeah.
tell me what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your mom make you? That's an answer.
Exactly.
It's relevant.
You know,
Yeah.
that's their time. They can express themselves. Yeah, did your mom or dad make you? Are you having fun doing this? Do you really want to do this? And then you kind of tailor your lesson around that.
Yeah.
But you can do it in a way where you still get all the main points you want to get in,
Right.
but yet they're having fun.
Right.
And before you know it, they're just doing stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, there's always a couple exceptions. You just gotta say, "Hey, I did my best, and I couldn't reach that student, but I got this group of students over here.
Right.
I'm gonna run with it."
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So like switching to drummers specifically, what's a like definitely now kind of in bands, what's a typical thing that you see that drummers do that you wish they wouldn't? You know, one for me would be like doing obviously just volume and playing, 1,000 fills every 4 seconds. You know,
Right.
I mean, is that the one for you, or is
Oh man, let's start from the beginning. You get behind the drum kit. You want to create some type of mystery. Okay, so that means don't get up there and play all your cool stuff before the show starts. Don't do that. Just be that volcano waiting to erupt. And then there's the thing, man. Drummers just going nuts in the craziest sections. I mean, we've all been there, and you learn from it. And once you see it, you go, okay, never do that again. But yeah, just drummers taking the craziest chances and not landing them. Oh, where they thought one was, they're on 3. And that gets a bad reaction from the band.
Yeah, wow.
So that kind of thing, noodling in between songs. And then, okay, let's talk about the volume thing. Okay, if a song starts strong, play strong. When the verse comes in, got to bring it down, because that's the message in the music. So you got to bring it down, let that be heard, and don't overpower that. I mean, play something strong so that vocalist can feel it, but don't overpower the vocalist. When the chorus comes, set it up. Bring it back up, verse back down. Pay attention to the soloist. Not all soloists want to just go into it heavy. They may want to bring it down and start. So you got to be aware of that. Yeah. And build with the soloist.
Right.
I mean, and I've played with you plenty of times. I can just tell when you're like, hey, I want it down here. I'm like, that makes sense to me. And when you start picking it up, it's like, okay, he wants it up. Oh, he wants back down. I'm paying attention to you.
Right.
Once again, I got to be that foundation for you.
Yeah.
Because that's you creating something, tearing it down, creating something else. And then when you're ready to go all out, I got to be there. And then with drummers, man, you gotta start strong, finish stronger. And what I mean by that, from the beginning of the show, you got to be strong. But at the end of the show, you got to be stronger. So you just can't give it all away. You got to pace yourself, control yourself, because every song has moments, and you got to be there for that. But that grand finale, man, you got to be there, really strong. And, I see some drummers doing it, and see a lot of drummers really tired at the end of the show. It's like, wow. Now when the band wants you to play, you're not delivering.
Yeah, so here's another one that I've been thinking about with like technique in general, and I've this guy, I was feeling tight after 15 minutes of playing here a couple years ago, and I went to this guy Jackie Lee, and he's like, man, you gotta relax your shoulders, don't be squishing this whole thing. And I was thinking about drummers, when especially jazz guys hitting those like 240 Cherokee, and they're not like,
Right.
And they're all there, and
The stick works for you. You don't work for the stick. The right amount of throw, the rebound. Of course, you worked on that.
Right.
You did all of the training, and when it's showtime, you deliver, and they just sit there and lock it in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those drummers are aware of their breathing. Like if I told you to get up and walk, I don't have to tell you to breathe while you're doing it. I have to tell my students to breathe sometimes. And I ask them, I say, hey, are you breathing? I'm not sure. It's like,
I never think about that if I'm breathing. That's maybe the first time anybody's even said that to me. You do when you're singing, obviously, but
you gotta breathe.
You're the first person that I've ever heard ask me if I breathe while I'm playing.
Yeah.
That's insane.
You breathe, man. You gotta breathe, and that keeps you relaxed. I mean, think about, if you're gonna play something really fast, you can't be tense.
Right.
You can't be tense. Yeah, you gotta breathe, and you gotta be there, relax, and go.
Because with our bow, for sure, when you're doing something really fast, I mean, you can't be, that's insane, right?
Right.
I mean, after a song, you're gonna be done, and so you're, doing something really fast, and you've got this amount of movement. And it always cracks me up with the rock drummers, and they're here, and I'm just like, and then you go watch someone like yourself or Scotty McBee, and they're
right,
and they're killing that, sambas or something, and they're here on this hi-hat, and their snare is here, and they're not.
And all this stuff is happening, even soft volume, loud volume, it's all here, and you're thinking, what? that person's not really doing anything, but I hear what's happening. And man, I've been told so many things, everyone has their viewpoint. I've been told like, hey man, you're really exciting to watch. Hey man, you're really boring to watch. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, my dad has said that to me too. He's like, man, if you're on doing like some rock stuff with your violin, what the crowd wants to see is...
Right,
right. But my stupid, classical stuff, I'm like, no. If I want to actually sound good, it's and that's all you're seeing the whole show. It's like this much bow, that just cracks me up. And so I mean, so those guys just probably have never been told. Right, I mean, so I'm thinking about random like jammers out there that are doing this stuff.
That's what they grew up seeing. Yeah. And sometimes, if you're really looking, you'll enjoy this. Look at a drummer that's doing this, but really look at what's happening here. If they're doing that, that's tight. But if you see a whip motion, so they're just selling.
That's the same way with
they're
us.
selling you the motion. They're giving you like, oh yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm a madman. Those wrists are really loose and they're nailing everything, and they're not working hard. Right. That's just emotion.
What was the drummer guy that went and played with real famous? Art Blakey, was that his name?
Art's one of the famous ones.
Yeah. Okay, that big band. So I saw. I think it was him. I don't remember who it was, but I remember a solo. It was probably on the Ken Burns video thing.
Oh
but
yeah.
He's, I mean, he's doing all this crazy crap, And that's what drives me nuts, I think, and probably worse with drummers than violinists. But like that's just what everybody wants to do, and it's back to the teaching thing. It's like, man, you guys can't play yet. You're just wanting to do all this ridiculous.
They
crap,
see that, they see that, but they don't see. Art can keep time.
Yeah.
Tony Williams can keep time. Louis Bellson could keep time, but they just see the highlight, the big drum solo.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, man, you gotta learn how to play before you can do all that stuff, because sometimes that's just not even on the job requirements. Can you keep time? Can you make it feel good? Can you stay out of the way?
Right.
Yeah. Even though you have this big kit, this is for show. Hi-hat, kick, snare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you make that work?
I remember the late great Donovan, and he was up there with Lonnie, and he had, I miss him too, man. I would have loved to have him on the show. That would have been great. But he would be up there with Lonnie at the Phoenix, and he'd bring like this stand for his stupid splash, just to be silly, but he'd have ride, hi-hat, snare, kick. And
it sounded like a whole drum kit.
And it sounded insane, and he'd flip his stick around, get more heavy on whatever, flip it back around, use the rim clicks, and like that was just nuts how great anybody like yourself or him or whoever could sound with very stripped down.
Man, he was very aware musically. He was aware of the room. So just to turn the stick around to get just a little bit of volume, not a lot, just a little bit, gives you that intensity. But he's not killing you. At the Phoenix, man, you can't get loud there. I mean, it's a bar first. Right. They're trying to sell something. Right. They can't yell at people taking orders and you're just bashing away. Right. If you got a nice, comfortable groove in the background, you can work there all night long.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and he had it down, man. And that's becoming a growing thing. I like to say that there are some drummers that are paying attention to that. What we talked about earlier, when to pick it up, when to bring it down, but yet it's still enjoyable. It's not taking your head off. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to bash and crash, as I call it.
Like I would say, in general, most of the jazz guys in town are pretty good about that.
They got the touch. They got the touch.
The touch, the etiquette. I mean, and we're talking mostly about maybe. I don't even want to stereotype, but I'd say the jazz guys in general are usually pretty good at cueing the end of solos, knowing when to come up and come down, listening, so you said something about club owners that I thought was really funny, and that's a whole nother thing I wanted to talk with just the general like business side of being a musician is something that I'm really fascinated by.
Right.
That would be my one advice for any younger person is don't neglect that craft, because that's all we do at school is play music beautifully. And that's all you know how to do, and then you go, oh wait, how do I say jokes to an audience in between sets, or how do I even come at this club owner? You know, do I come at him with no, when do you want, you know, what attitude do you come at him? And like, you know, my dad asked me one time, so how much money did you make last year? And I went, I don't know, because I didn't write it down. I didn't, you know, I'm not organized. I don't do a spreadsheet. I don't, you know, all that kind of crap. And like, and so I guess the question is, one thing that always cracks me up is when I hear a lot of other musicians talking about, how come that band's getting gigs? They're not even good, right? And I'm like, you know, how many times have you heard that, right? I mean, 1,000,000 times,
Plenty of
right?
times.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but they have an email list. Like they are, you know, they're kind of doing it. They were out today talking to one club owner. They were doing something, you know, they you know, suck it up. Like, I mean,
let's think about it. In today's times, we have all this stuff, the social media. Club owners can see what you're up to if you're going to play their place. They can see how much advertising you're doing, okay? They can tell. They talk to other club owners. They all talk. A lot of people don't think about that. It's a business. They have a business to provide entertainment, sell whatever it is they're selling, and you got to be the band that can make that happen. And what I mean by that, you know, whatever your band is, whatever the music is, do the music well, you know. But people taking orders rather talk than yell. So be conscious of that. And what you're playing can make people thirsty. Now, what I mean is if let's say you're a pop band, okay, you got to make people dance. If you're into your set an hour and no one's dancing, there's a problem. And there are those bands that, okay, pop music may not be the popular thing in choice, but there are some bands that do it really well, and people get out there early to get a good spot so they can sit, have the right table, then they have that direct movement to the dance floor to dance, and before you know it, they're thirsty. They're ordering drinks a lot. That, you know, that gets back to the owner. Yeah.
Right.
That gets back, and that keeps you working. Not only this, though, here's something else that people don't think about. Playing in those clubs, you know, we get a chance to enjoy some meals. I mean, I know everyone looks forward to like the beer tab and all that, but you get to enjoy a meal. If you do that, you need to tip your waitress. Think about it. The waitresses talk to the club owners. They talk to management. Have them talking great about you, not anything negative.
Right.
It's the little things. So this band that may not be so good, they're doing something. You know, what you were saying, advertising. They're starting on time. They got a following. Maybe they're great tippers when they get their meals, or even the beer tab. They don't go over the beer tab.
Yeah.
But they take care of the bartender on top of that. That kind of adds up to the band that plays everything correct, but no one will come out and see him and dance to him, and they won't tip, and they go over the bar tab and then argue at the end of the night. Oh, well, you should just let us have it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because like it seems to me that where I'm at is there are so many of us that are at that, and I'm just gonna make an example of a band where we're at that $300 to $400 kind of band. We're playing 2 to 3 shows a month. We, you know, you play for even a year at a place, and then they get a new owner, and you know, they chop you, and you go to another bar, and then like it's accidentally 7 years later, and you've played. Somebody like myself who's played in 3-4 bands, you know, and it always gets up to that and then dies. It gets up to the 400, dies. And so where I think everybody wants to is they want to get to that. Like maybe somebody like Samantha would be an example of getting to that next level, you know, where you're not demanding, but you're asking for like that $800 to $1,500 bringing in easily 40 people a show, like of your fans, you know, that type of a level of a band. And that's where I think all of us are struggling to get to that second tier. I look at it as kind of three different tiers. You've got that, you know, the people that can never even barely get a gig. They're always just sitting in the garage.
Right.
And then you got the second level of the bands that any of us have been in many of. And then you have that level of the 8 to 1,500, maybe playing a couple festivals once in a while. And then you have like the glacial, you know, Justin Bieber area,
right,
you know,
yeah.
Aerosmith, whatever. But that next like level where, a bunch of the things that you just mentioned, do you think that's more of the problem than the actual music? Of people not doing the businessy stuff, or is it?
You got to do the business. I mean, first of all, no music, no show. Meaning that if the music is not happening, you're not going to get a show. Yeah. You got to have it down. But once you got it down and you have the right way to present it, it is a business. It's called music business. And you got to know what's going on. When you play a club, know capacity. Know what a full house looks like versus a half full house. You got to see these things so you don't get shorted, because you know some club owners might try to short you. You never know. But if it's a really good night, you can go into points, make a little extra. You got to know. You got to know how it works. The business side is important. Yeah. And I mean, trust me, I love having great music, putting on a great show, but the business has to be right. Yeah, you want it all to be right.
Right.
Yeah. You know, this is how I make a living, teaching and performing. Yeah. It has to be right.
Right. One time, Lonnie came up with me to Panera, and we sat there and talked for an hour or two. You know, he's a great guy, Lonnie McFadden, and he was saying a lot of the similar things that you're saying, and he's like, and I was basically telling him that as a younger kid starting my band with Brad, you probably know Brad Williams. I played with Brad and DeAndre. DeAndre Manning played.
Yes.
You know, they were killer players, and we had this rock thing going for a little bit, but. You know, I was sitting there pretending that I'm going to have all this integrity, that I'm only going to play originals, right? And I'm going to only do jazz. And he was kind of telling me, you know, he's like, well, and he didn't even really specifically say this, but I got this from our conversation that I'm like, wait a second, I love covers. I have 500 cover CDs at home. Hold on a second. Whoa, you know, and I had to rethink, like, wait a second, I don't hate covers. I just need to find good ones. You know, I need to find ones where I don't feel like the performing monkey.
There you go.
And the ones that I always suggest that we tried to do in our band was like Money, Pink Floyd. We tried to do like Ramblin' Man. We did like, we did some ones that were sort of fun. You know, they weren't Mustang Sally. They weren't, you know, Sweet Home Alabama. You know, but they were ones that still the crowd liked. You know, and they were still mildly challenging.
Right.
You know, we did like Peg. We did, you know, I mean, we did a couple tunes that they could easily handle, because I was playing with, you know, nutcases, you know, that could, you know, read 40 chord tunes and crap, you know, but that was kind of the thing, is he's like you, and definitely how the other musicians were dealing with me and the club owners and stuff. I was frustrated, of course, being a new. And he goes, the faster this is what Lonnie said to me straight up, he goes, the faster you get your head into reality, the better off you're going to be. I was like, oh.
Those are words.
Those are words.
Wow.
And that's some pretty damn good advice.
Yes.
And he's like, quit wishing. You're doing all this wishing crap. You know, he's like, if you flip your brain into where the club owners are actually at, quit wishing that wishing that the scene would like jazz more. Quit wishing that the people would X, Y, and Z, or that the club owners would this and that, you know, and go at least a ways to where they're at. You don't have to go the whole way, like come up with, you don't have to play Mustang Sally, you can play these other, but he said that, and it really was an insanely good piece of advice.
Wow, those are strong words. But you know what's funny though? Mustang Sally, Brick House, tunes like that. You try to stay away from them, but when you see a band play those tunes, good or bad, that dance floor fills up. And I'm like, why? And you know, there are some clubs, no Mustang Sally, but
Right.
people will play it.
Yeah.
And it fills
yeah.
fills up, and like,
Right.
these are songs we can never get away from.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time since I played either of those songs, so I'm happy about that.
Right. Yeah.
But man, if that had to be on the job requirements, like, oh, here we go again, and there it is,
Right.
people on the floor.
So what do you do when you do have to play that song? Where's your head at?
It's gonna be okay. They call it. You start into it, and you just have to tell yourself, we're gonna be here for a while, because all of a sudden there's a lot of solos, and it keeps the floor going, and you can just sing that song over and over, and the people just want to be a part of it.
Right.
Play it the way it is. Okay, you're gonna sing. Oh, you just expanded the song again. People love that crowd participation, and you just, drummer on break. Drummer saying, "Hey, you can leave me out of the solo section.
Yeah.
I'll just play here. I'm fine."
Right.
But you got the crowd going. You can't look bored. They'll pick up on
Right.
that. Yeah, you gotta sell the song.
You can't look at it as a drag.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
And so do you go into it looking like, all right, maybe not even that song, but let's say it's like for myself, like a random like country waltz from 1930 or something. I'm like, okay, this is all right, but like it's helpful, I guess, for me. Even at a jam, this happens a lot because I'll throw these random songs at you. But your job is to play the crap out of that song.
You got to,
right?
Man. You got to do that.
And if find something like Scotty McBee is really good at this, and he'll throw in
Right.
he'll do little silly stuff in there to amuse himself, obviously, but he's like trying to make that as good as it can be, even though he thinks it's totally lame, right?
You have to play the song. I mean, with today's technology, you don't want to be filmed being bored.
Yeah.
And okay, we've always been told there's things in life that you will not agree with. You have to do this, you have to do that, so make the best of it.
Yeah.
So whatever that song is that we don't care for when it's called, we got to play it as if it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we got to sell it.
Right.
No matter how long they stretch it out, we got to be happy from beginning to end.
Right.
Once you're done with it, you can celebrate up here like, okay, that's over. Okay, let's just get back. But you got to play it.
Right.
I mean, if you don't want to play it, you shouldn't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, and so with that idea of the $400 type band going up to the next one,
right?
That's stuff that the audience can feel, right? I mean, they can feel you're bored as hell,
They
right?
can tell,
and they can tell, and like, is that? So that's part of a whole package, right? I mean, you have this, like I talk about the car, right? I mean, you don't got steering wheel, you don't have, or you just don't have tires. Like, is that $1,500 band? Are they getting just like everything right? Is that the deal where they have good songs, they look like they love this, right? They're doing they're talking to the bar owner, right? They're getting the people there. They're advertising. Is that really what it is? Is they have all of it on lockdown usually?
They have a thing now. We could probably listen to some of those bands and go, well, that part doesn't exactly go like that.
Right.
But then you look at the audience, they think it's the greatest thing ever. So how about this? Not all the bands, but maybe some of the bands have an audience that hear with their eyes.
Yeah.
You see the show.
Right.
Yeah. You see how it's being presented.
Right.
And they could be playing the parts incorrectly. But there's a thing going on.
Yeah.
It's a song that, hey, they know the verse, they know the chorus, that's good enough for me.
Right.
And it's working for them.
Yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, there are other bands that are just tearing it up.
Right.
Like, well, that's how you play that song. I never would have thought of using this section as an intro for that song.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a fusion run they just played to set up this? Yeah, then you go, okay, I can see why this band's working. Yeah.
Right.
And they got the show, but the musicianship is just equally there.
Right.
And they're having fun. They're laughing.
So last question here. Can you tell me a really crazy gig that you played? Everybody loves gig stories.
A crazy
not
gig.
crazy gig or a really great gig or like one that you'll never forget or a horrible one, or you can answer it however you want.
A very beautiful gig took place June 7th, 1997. That was a Saturday. It was called the Dot Fest. The Dot is or was a radio station in Des Moines, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was some airfield outside of Des Moines. Got to play for 30,000 people.
Mm.
Yeah, I was
That's
playing.
a big show.
I was playing with a band at the time called Billy Goat, and I believe we took the stage at noon, and we only had to play for about an hour.
Mm.
Man, I was the first guy to walk out on stage, and you know the band was really popular, and as soon as I take those steps, people I'm like, okay, this is real. This is it's one of those moments you dream about.
Wow.
And man, I just remember getting behind the drum kit, looking out. It's like, okay, got to make this one count.
Mm-hmm.
And so much fun.
Wow.
That was a great show, man. That was great. That was just fun. Just the energy of 30,000, knowing the material, and just getting crazy, getting into it. Yeah, that was really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a different feeling than if they're just kind of randomly at a festival. Right, I mean, that's like their fans,
Right,
you know. Yeah,
right.
that's probably a different feeling.
That was really cool, especially that time of the day, noon. People going crazy for you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they know the material, and it was fun, man.
Well, that's cool,
Yeah,
man.
that was a great moment.
They were drunk already, probably. No,
Probably so. I mean, I guess nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So that was a good time, man. 30,000 people, and I've experienced the worst of times. With the same band, playing somewhere in New Jersey. I forget where exactly, but 0 people. Bartender, doorman, but we played it as if it was sold out. Glorified rehearsal.
Right.
It was fun, man.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I've been on the low side. I've been on the high side. It's cool.
Yeah, and you gotta you gotta look at them the same, even though you can't, right?
Right,
I mean, 30,000 and zeros,
Right.
it's impossible to see it, but you gotta take those zeros with serious, right?
You have to, man. That okay. I realize there's no one in the audience, but I got to play as if it's sold out. It's good for you, good for the band. Have fun.
Because we don't usually play to 0, but a lot of us have played to like 10.
Right.
We're a very, very, pitiful audience,
Yeah.
but that 4 top right there might come back and see you, right? I mean,
Exactly.
like, so
Those 10 you play for, next time it could be 20.
right.
It could be 40. They'll talk. You do your job. You make them feel like they are the world. They are the audience. That's the best thing ever. They'll go and talk. I had so much fun. I bought this CD. Listen to them. You got to go see them. Yeah, they'll bring people. And before you know it, club owners are paying attention. A little more people. Wow, this place is almost packed. Okay, we're going to put you on a Friday or Saturday. Look at this, sold out. I knew we had something good. Yeah. But it's because of those initial 10 you played for. Yeah, you treated them like 10,000.
Yeah. And the owner saw you, obviously. Like what
There's
you're saying,
the owner, yeah.
Yeah, the owner saw you. So last question for you here is probably wrapping up. What do you think about the general? We talked a little bit about it already. Is the general idea of just excuse making from people that really drives me nuts lately, and I'm trying to, obviously all of us do it once in a while, but we all get caught, or catch ourselves, but it's like I was saying, guys saying that band, that band's not even good, and like me, or the crowd, or crowds are not coming to hear music anymore, or people just don't get us, or the club owner is just greedy and da 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 da. What, like, that's even a, you could even blow that up
Oh,
to
yeah.
a very, very, political argument going on right now
Right.
of people who have a legitimate argument of some structural things that are in the way, but there's all this other stuff that, as far as I'm concerned, that you can't lay at a bar owner. Yeah. So what, like, where do you lay on that?
You ask band B, what can you bring to the table that band A is not bringing? You ask them, why is band A working? Well, look at what they're doing. Looks like they're having fun. The crowd's having fun. Band A could be a band that plays everything perfectly. Band A could be a band that just gets through it, but they're having fun. They're bringing in business. The owners are happy. I mean, the owners already advertised. Bands got to advertise and deliver a show, and they're doing that. So you can't get mad. Get inspired. Tighten up your act. Get some people to see you so you can be an A-list band, so to speak. You just have to. I mean, if not, you're just going to be sitting on the sidelines making excuses.
Right.
Yeah.
And even individually too, because I know some of people that I've talked about, they've been talking about like the jazz scene even back 4 or 5 years ago, and they're like, man, I never get called for gigs and stuff like that. And I was annoyed at that when I first got into town. I thought I was, maybe thought I was at a level that I wasn't quite ready for jazz-wise specifically. And I kind of realized that some of these guys, I put my head in there's my feet in their shoes for a second. I was like, wait a second, these guys need somebody who can come in and like sight read a whole show like today, and they need somebody or somebody that could literally call 10 tunes off the drop of their hat if you needed them to call. And I had to sit there and go like, wait a second, I can't do that, and so I was like, hold on, whose problem is this right now?
Exactly.
Is the question I ask myself. I'm like, wait, well, I can't. They need people to do X, Y, and Z, and I can't do those things. So I'm getting mad at them why they're not hiring me. But
can't get mad.
Right? I mean,
you gotta put yourself on the list. You gotta step up and learn whatever it is they want you to learn all their tunes. So when you get that moment, they say, hey, we need these 10 tunes, and got it. What key? And then when you throw that at him, it's like, oh, he's one of us. What key?
Right.
Keep him in the mix.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. You got to prepare for that. Man, I've gotten so many gigs for just being prepared. Different styles. I mean, man, I look at my career, I'm just a bag of mixed nuts. I was in the R&B funk soul scene. I was in the rock scene. I was in the blues scene. I played jazz at one point. Learned a lot of tunes on the spot. Had to play them better the next week. But yeah, I think all that prepared me for something. Like, hey, call him, he'll do it. Which means, okay, I got to do my homework. And I tell my students about this. I give them a long time to learn one song. And then at one point I ask them, so what happens if you get a call? You got to learn 20 songs. You might play 15 of them, but you got 2 days. They're paying you a lot of money.
What you gonna do?
Yeah. Do you pass it up because you're not prepared or you don't want to put the work in? Or do you take that challenge and do it? And who knows? If they could call you back, they may never call you again. But it'd be a good reference. Yeah, hey, I did this.
Right.
And you feel good about it. I tell them, don't do it for me. Do it for you.
A lot of guys don't show up prepared. That's a thing that I've tried to be better at myself, because definitely for me, I was so during school, like maybe I was similar to yourself, where I was so far ahead during school, but then by the time you get high school, college, everybody's sort of caught up,
Right?
And especially in college and now the pros or whatever. Well, you're dealing with guys that are really good, so you're looking at only your peers. Well, now you just have to deal with anybody, and so now you ain't a stud anymore. Now you're just another hopefully good player in town, but these other guys are showing up, and either they've done their homework, for a long time, right? They've played these 70s rock tunes for 30 years, so they did their homework at some point in their life. So they can now show up, but they did their homework at some point, and so like that's and I've tried to be better at that myself, is trying to show up a little bit more prepared. Don't assume that you're going to come in here and just do it, right? I mean, and
being prepared is the way to go. I still prepare for my current gigs right now. Over prepare.
Yeah.
I'll write a chart out.
And that's why you get called.
Yeah, I'll write a chart. I'll sight read a song on a show. Yeah. I will do it, only to find out, oh yeah, that was good, man. But yeah, we don't do it like the CD anymore. We changed some things up. But thank you for listening. And then you get away from the chart. Now you got to listen.
Right.
Oh, you end like that. Okay, got it. I'll remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those little things prepare you for that big thing.
Sure. And that happens a lot when we have bands that really killed me when I came from classical, that I was so used to. There was absolutely zero decisions to make. Everything was done for you, and that's what Winton calls the negotiation about, of being in a band, and how there isn't a leader. Maybe we're all talking it out, and we get to decide: are we purposefully doing this not like the original to be unique? Are we going to do it on purpose like the original? Are we going to practice?
You got to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get on stage and then there's X amount of ideas happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a break there. Thought you said not like the original. We're playing through it. Now there's all this chaos on stage.
Yeah, you got to talk that out. Yeah. Before you get on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. But
exactly.
Well, cool, man. Well, I don't know. We kind of hit a lot of stuff right there.
Man, we could talk all night about this.
I love this stuff. That's why I do in the show. I talk about this all day.
Thank you for doing this show.
Thanks, man.
And everyone that's watching, you need to watch all the episodes. I apologize now for keeping you up late at night, but you need to watch all the episodes. They're wonderful. Thanks to this guy right here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for saying that.
It's the truth.
Yeah. So anyway, we got lots more episodes coming, and gonna talk to some more musicians in Kansas City. We got an absolutely insane scene here in Kansas City. It's like when I was with Brad in the band, we try to find before DeAndre came in, we're trying to find bass players, and I'm thinking, okay, it's over. There's no more. And then Brad brings 5 more of them out of the woodworks that nobody's ever heard of.
And having DeAndre to pop up on the gig.
He was nuts, yeah.
He plays wonderful bass, but have you heard him play drums?
No.
Have you heard him?
I know he did, or he does.
He can lay down a groove, and he'll just sit there and play this one groove over and over, whatever groove he decides to play. And when he plays it, you go, man, just don't do it. You want to sample him. Don't change nothing. You want to sample him.
It was a huge honor to get to play with those guys for a while. You
had a powerhouse behind you.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and then before DeAndre was there, Dominique was there, Sanders. So it was fun. It was,
there you go. Yeah.
Like the one gig, Brian Ruskin came in and sat in one gig. So it was a fun band. We had some decent,
all that knowledge in his head. Wow.
Yeah.
Brian knows where the one is at any given moment.
I really like his band a lot too. It's really unique, and he's got so many different styles running through his head, and he
hears it all. Like he said, there's a lot of musicians in Kansas City, a lot of beautiful musicians. So once again, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Well, thanks for being here.
And thanks for having me.
This is Go Ray. We'll be back next time. Get out of here.